So it's a pleasure to talk today to Sara Abdel Ghany, who has received an honourable mention in the Colonial, Postcolonial, Decolonial Working Group's 2023 Early Career Researcher Article Prize. Sara's paper, Pilgrimage Back to the Self, is a fascinating article about methodology and about autobiography and about the way in which that can be used in order to kind of think about the personal costs of research and the ways we might do research differently. So it's a real pleasure to get to talk to her about her article today. So welcome, Sara. Congratulations about the honourable mention in the prize. And can you start by telling me a little bit about how you arrived at this research project?
Yeah, when I was doing my field work, I encountered a lot of silence and forgetfulness. And that made me kind of reflect on my own silence. I remember Audre Lorde's words, and what are the tyrannies that you swallow every day, still in silence. And that really, so the field work was really kind of an eye-opening to the ways in which academia kind of silence ourselves. And so I was forced to think of how we write, how we research, how we conduct field work, and how can we kind of claim that silence and claims people's experiences and not see it as disturbances that we can just sweep off, but actually respect that and bring that to the research because it's part of the journey.
Yeah. No, I think, and that's the kind of real strength of the paper, is how do we highlight, foreground these kind of the unsaid in many ways, right? And the costs of the unsaid and how they manifest. Yeah, no, I think that's a real strength of the paper. So tell me kind of what's the main, I know it's a very kind of unique paper and it's really kind of creative in its kind of formatting and so on. But insofar as there is a main argument, what is it?
So it is how to think of research that's done on people who are traumatized, who deal with real experiences of political resistance that have muted them, that have made them struggle with their own existence and survival. So how do I respect the agency that they have even in their silence, not only when they were shouting out, but also in their silence. And because I'm involved, and when I was doing the field work, I sort of a mirror of myself reflected when I was doing the interviews. So I started claiming the subjectivity of my presence in the research, and so to tell the story of myself and the people I interviewed, to provoke their emotions, to make sure that they're heard even with their muted voices. So it's an autoethnographic journey to understand the political dimensions of countries in the global south, political frameworks in the global south.
Yeah, I think that kind of autoethnography is really important, and you use quite a lot of sort of poetry, lyrics, kind of literature. Can you tell me a bit about sort of how that kind of enables us to think about the sort of the personal costs and the silences that you mentioned, but also how we can do research differently?
Yeah, I was just reading Judy Dean's book on crowds, and she was saying writing is a solitary process and thinking is not, something like that. And I'm a big fan of Judy Dean, but I really disagree, because I think it has to be a dialogue. It has to open paths for your participants to be with you in your journey, because it's not your story, it's not an individual story, but it's a collective story. So even though it's autoethnographic and I bring my own voice, I make sure to bring their own voices through emotions, and that's perfectly portrayed in fiction. And so literature, songs, stuff that really have touched me personally, but also have touched them throughout their journey. And at many points in the interviews, if someone does not remember or able to explain their emotions or what they have been through, they cite a poem, for example, they cite a song. And I think that was really indicative of how these tools really help us and can be, and academic languages can be expressed in many ways.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a real strength of the paper and the way it brings that out through the kind of the use of sort of poetry and lyrics and so on. Yeah, absolutely. So you're a PhD student at Warwick. You're kind of moving into the sort of final stages of the PhD, finishing that project. What's your plans after that? What kind of research will you do once you've kind of finished this project?
Yeah, I'm very interested in the decolonization of academia, especially in the conversation that are happening in UK academia, and I'm very much involved in work in decolonizing the curriculum conversation. I've also started my own initiative, the Global South Initiative, which is really about presenting muted voices and expressing different voices of resistance. So kind of to create passes to imagine academia done differently, where we come together instead of divide people. Coming together becomes easily manageable. So whether in teaching or research or writing, I'm interested in bringing out voices that have been muted throughout disciplines, throughout institutions, and things like that.
Okay, well, we look forward to kind of watching that project and seeing kind of how you bring those kind of muted voices, how you kind of foreground them, and what that does in terms of kind of decolonization. I think that sounds really interesting.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for joining me. Congratulations on the honourable mention. Really enjoyed talking about the paper, and I would strongly recommend everybody, goes to kind of, follows your work in the future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.